Hello all, my name is Kayomars and I am trainer from wisemonkeys. So now we are going to start with a new topic called Adobe Illustrator. So let me explain you very first of all what is Adobe Illustrator. So Adobe Illustrator is a graphic software used primarily for creating vector graphics. So mostly you create some kind of vector graphics. What are vector graphics? Let me explain you. So as you can see over here, these are all your vector graphics which are created in this application called Adobe Illustrator. So Adobe Illustrator is a companion application with Adobe Photoshop. So mostly we use this application for branding purpose, like creating logos, creating visiting cards, creating brochures, creating leaflets, creating magazine covers, creating packaging covers, creating designs. You can see all this kind of artwork can be easily created, like any kind of ad. If you want to create an ad for a scooter, you can easily create in Adobe Illustrator. So the reason why we use this application is it is a vector based application. So when I talk about vector based application, vector applications do not get pixels. So vector applications do not get pixels. So they are composed of points. So in a software, whatever you create will not at all get pixelation because it is a vector applications. So vector stuff, vector creations are made up of lines, circles, arcs, or different shapes, rectangles, pentagons. Whatever shapes you create into this applications merge up together and you can generate an output. So we use this vector application called Adobe Illustrator for creating the stuff which is used for print. The color mode which we use over here is your Rgb color mode. Rgb stands for red, green and blue. So red, green, blue are the colors we use digitally onto the screen. Our screen detects the Rgb colors. So we use this color mode. So let's get started with Illustrator. So very first of all, whenever you start with the Illustrator, go to Start, All Programs, Adobe Master Collection, CC. So we are using a CC, that is your Creative Cloud. So you can start up with your Illustrator. So let's start with the Illustrator. You can go into it and let's start with Illustrator. So we are using a CC version over here. So as you can see over here, we have a lot of artwork shown over here. You can create such kind of artworks. So now very first of all, whenever you start up with this application, very first of all go into File, New. So this is very important because you have to define a page size over here for work. So let me make it clear, very first of all, this is not an editing application. So you cannot edit any kind of photos over here. Over here you can recreate the stuff right from the scratch, like any kind of a designing stuff, any kind of a stuff which is required for branding, which is required, any kind of a cartoons, any kind of a designs, any kind of a stuff, art stuff can be easily created over here. So let me name it as new one, as we are working it for a print purpose. So let's take it as a print. Number of artboards. So artboards are the number of pages. So for example, if you're making a magazine, if you need more and more pages, you can define the pages. And this is for the spacing of the two pages, spacing of the pages. Columns is defined. that is for the artboard per row columns you want to define, you can use it. So first let's set it as one artboard. The size of the artboard which we'll keep over here, you can define the size. If you want to give some any kind of a custom size, you can take it as a custom size over here. So the orientation, you can define the orientation, your portrait or landscape. Bleed is mostly used, you know, for example, if you're going to print this and you want to keep some space right from all the four corners, because you know, after creating any stuff, if you are going to print it, so you have to leave some space from all four corners, that you know, when it's going to print, the matter doesn't get cut up. So you can define it, you can keep it as, if you keep it into the inches, you can set it up to 15 to 20 mm. So if you're going into mm, you can keep it to 15 to 20 mm. So if you're going to keep it into mm, you can keep it into 15 to 20 mm. And the color mode which you're going to use over here, that is your RGB color mode. So we have already shown over here one more color mode, that is Cmyk. So Cmyk, it stands for cyan, magenta, yellow and krypton. So this color mode is mostly used for print. So whenever you're going to make any stuff inside this application and you are going to print it, you are going to convert this color mode over here into Cmyk. So if you go into the printers, you see this kind of colorings into the printer. So there is a big relation between the RGB and Cmyk. We'll come to it afterwards. So let's get started over here. So we'll not change anything right now over here. So keep it as default and just click OK. So this is your user interface for your Adobe Illustrator. So this is your toolbox, this is your menu bar, and this is your control panel. You can see a control panel over here. This is your color panel. You can also, we have a layer panel. So as you have seen a layer panel in my previous application we have used, that is Adobe Photoshop, the same use of layer panel is applied over here. You can use a layer panel to over here. So now whatever work you're going to do, you're going to work inside this artboard. So if you press Ctrl and plus, you can zoom in, Ctrl minus, you can zoom out. So if you press same controls, Ctrl plus will be your zoom in for the artboard and Ctrl minus will be your zoom out. And if you press Ctrl plus 0 will be your fit to the screen. So you can use it over here. So now let's start. Let's take a rectangle tool over here. So if you make a rectangle tool over here, so you have made a rectangle over here. You have a tool called selection tool. You can move the selection using the selection tool. You have a fill color. So fill is your fill color. You can fill a color. And this is your stroke color. Stroke is your border color. So if you need a border color, and if you zoom it, you will not see any pixels. You won't get any pixels because this is a vector application. So you can move it like this. So go over here, you have a direct selection tool. You can click over here, direct selection tool. These are your anchor points. Anchor points help you out to edit the shape. So if you want to edit any kind of a shape, you can use this anchor points. So if you want to add more anchor points, you can add more anchor points. If you want to subtract the anchor points, you can subtract the anchor points. You can reshape it. You can just select the anchor points using this tool, that is direct selection tool, and you have option convert selected anchor points to smooth. So if you just click over here and smooth it, you can smoothen it. So now you get a bezier handles. You can modify this handles using this tool. You can easily modify this. And if you want to make it again straight, you have option make it to the corner. So if you make it to the corner, you can make it to the corner. Now if you want to add some more anchor points to give it more defined shape, you can go into this. You have a add anchor point tool. You can just click over here. You can add this anchor points. So you can add this anchor points one by one. As you can see, you can reshape it, redefine it. You can select this anchor points, you can make it smooth. If in case you don't need this anchor point, you also have an option over here that is remove selected anchor points. So you can subtract this anchor points easily from it. So you can resize it. You can click over here, that is a free transform tool. You can press Alt and Shift. You can resize this. You can resize this too. Also, you can rotate it. You can easily rotate it. So if you want to rotate it, you can easily rotate it. So now, if you keep it pressed, you have an ellipse tool also. Ellipse is a round surface. If you press Alt and Shift, it will make a perfect ellipse. And if you just make the shape like this, and if you select this top anchor point and make it sharp, as you can see, the top anchor point is sharp. So now you can just go on to this rotate tool and you can rotate this element. You can just rotate this element. I'll repeat again. Take a ellipse tool, go to this direct selection tool, select the top anchor point, make it sharp. Now we'll take a rotate tool to rotate it right from the center over here. Just click over here, press Alt, take a rotate, keep it over here, press Alt, and you can rotate it to the degrees as it is shown. So let's take it as a 30 degree over here, and now press Ctrl D, that is for duplicate. So it will duplicate it n number of times as you go for it. So now you can see you have duplicated it to make it a round shape over here. So now you can just select this whole element and remove this stroke. So if you keep it none, so you can easily remove the stroke. So select this, shift select this, you can press shift to select one by one, and you can easily change the color. Whatever color you require, you can give the color. You can take again an ellipse tool and you can easily make a circle on it. Click OK. So now, as you can see, if you zoom it, so this is totally a vector based. There will be no pixels as we have totally created right from a scratch. Select all this, go into object, and we have an option called group. Grouping is like you can group it so it will be a single element. So you can go over here, again go into transform tool, Alt and Shift, you can resize it. And if you want to make it a copy, just press Ctrl C and Ctrl V, or you can press Alt and drag to make n number of copies. So as we have seen over here, you can make n number of copies, you can ungroup it, and you can easily change the color of it. So as you see, there are no pixels over here. So thanks for watching this tutorial. We'll continue in the next session.